how to invest 4 main ways for a maximum return. So this is the More Money channel. Let's get into this. I've created a new formula, my SSNN formula. So if you're starting out, you don't have masses of money and you want to get into some practical, tactical ways to invest, then my SSNN formula, I think really works. So the first test we'll go into is stocks and shares. Now, many people know about stocks and shares, but I don't really think they do it properly. Now, I always wanted to learn how to invest my own money. When I was 26, I was 50 grand in debt. I was broke and I didn't know what to do. And I did think about, maybe you get an IFA, a financial advisor, maybe someone can do it for you. But no one cares about your own money any more than you. And you wouldn't outsource your parenting. So why would you outsource your money and investing knowledge? So I made a commitment 20 years ago. There were a few commitments I made. Number one was it's my responsibility to invest my own money. Number two, it's my responsibility to invest for my own pension and retirement. Number three, it's my responsibility to advise myself on how I manage my money. And I made those decisions 20 years ago, and it's really paid off. So I think the main three, if you want to download these apps, are Hargreaves Lansdown, Charles Stanley, and Vanguard. Now, I personally use Charles Stanley to invest my company money, and I use Hargreaves Lansdown to invest my personal money. So you might, if you've got a company, you might want to use Charles Stanley for company money, which is pre-tax. And you might want to use Hargreaves Lansdown for your personal money. Now, when you download these apps, you can start your new ISA every year in the UK. So in the UK, your ISA is your independent savings allowance. And as we speak, you're allowed a maximum of £20,000 in a cash ISA or in a stocks and shares ISA. And it's a tax wrapper. You don't pay tax on it when you invest it. Now, in your company structure, you're allowed currently a maximum of £60,000 that you can invest in your private pension, which you get tax relief on. You don't pay corporation tax. It comes off your corporation tax. So you've got an ISA in personal money, and you've got your SIP, your self-invested personal pension, in your pension allowance in company. I personally don't invest in the cash ISA because if you look at what interest rates are now and what inflation is now, you're probably at net zero or net negative, especially with the interest rate you're told is X, let's say 5%. But actually, when you look at your savings rate, they don't give you that. They give you 4% or 3.5%. And then you look in your current account and they give you 1%. And then you look at inflation and it's 3%. But then inflation doesn't include all goods and services. Might not include your mortgage, for example, or other things that you spend money on. So actually, interest is less than you're led to believe, and inflation is more than you're led to believe. So putting money in a cash ISA, i.e. just investing it in cash, probably means you're net negative a year. Whereas if you look at the stock market, you're pretty much been, in fact, let me ask Grok what the return's been, but I think it's been about 11%, 12.6% return year on year, 495% total over the last 15 years compounding, or 12.6% a year. Now that might change tomorrow because Trump might do some trade deal or some tariffs or whatever. So remember, this is not financial advice. This is real financial experience and knowledge from me. So let's say you choose to open up your ISA, try and max that out every year if you can, or put as much as you can in the UK. Obviously, America has its own version. And then you're going to put it into stocks and shares. Now, you can, there's funds of funds, ETFs, bonds, there's all different types of asset classes. I like to keep it really simple because, I've got, I think 12 companies and I have all my content and my personal brand. And, when it comes to investing, I just want to BHD. Buy, hold, die. BHD, buy, hold, die. So keeping it really simple, I like to invest in a fund of funds. Now, a really good one, Vanguard Life Strategy, is a fund of funds. And you can have 100% equity, or you could have 80% equity, 20% bonds. I like equities. I like it in stocks and shares. It's well diversified. You can have it more in the America S&P 500 or more in the UK FTSE 100. But in Vanguard Life Strategy, and let's say you're 100% equity, and I like the accumulator feature where it reinvests the dividends. Warren Buffett says, don't draw on your stocks, keep reinvesting it for compounding. What he does is if he wants money, he just sells a small amount. So he thinks if you reinvest all the dividends, then that grows the largest amount of wealth, on a long-term basis. Now, what I used to think about doing was reinvesting all the money, so accumulation, as opposed to dividends, which is drawing the money. But then when I get to an amount of capital where, say, 8% of that is what I can live on, then one day I can just turn on the income and live on the income. But according to Warren Buffett, the best thing to do is just keep accumulating it all the time. So what you get is money on money on money on money. Money earns money on money on money on money on money. This is what compounding is. So you earn on your initial capital, then you earn some dividends, but you reinvest that, and then you earn on your capital and dividends, and then you earn more dividends and you reinvest that, and you earn on the capital and the dividends and the dividends. And that's how you build compounded wealth. And then if you do need a bit of money in the future, you might just sell a little bit. And that's probably the best way for long-term compounded growth. So my SSNN model, the first S is the stock market, self-invest, learn how to be your own independent financial advisor. Either get Hargreaves Lansdown or Vanguard for your personal investing in the stock market. Get my Charles Stanley for investing your company money. Set up your ISA, maximize your personal pension allowance, and then just put as much money as you can in whenever you can. You could set up a direct debit or a standing order and put a certain amount in each month, and that can all be automated now on these apps. Or you might decide to just put in lumps here, there, and everywhere. And if you keep doing that, you will build a vast amount of wealth over time. And you don't need you can start on £50, £20. You can start on the smallest amount of money. Okay, then the next S is silver. So the great thing about silver is it's tangible. You could own it off grid. It's a proven precious metal. Do you know silver used to be a currency before gold? A lot of people don't know about this. And then there was a hybrid of silver and gold before then gold started to become like a form of currency. But the great thing about silver as well is you can get into it really sort of quite quickly, cheaply and easily because it's nowhere near the price of gold. Price of silver today. So today it's $27 an ounce. So it's 54 for a 2-ounce coin. Anyone can afford a 2-ounce coin. It's $50. So anytime you get any spare $50, go buy a 2-ounce silver coin. You could buy it from the Royal Mint, or you could buy from direct bullion. You can get it sent to you in just like a plain envelope. And you can, Christmas, birthday, I get pants, I get socks, you get stocking with tangerines in if you're old enough. Why? What's the point? So from now on, you should ask your friends and family for birthday, for Christmas, for anniversaries. No socks, no pants, no chocolate, no alcohol. Silver coins, please. Silver coins, please. And for my generous rich friends, silver bars, please. And just imagine if you'd done that for the last 20 years, and imagine if you do that now, then over time, your wealth is going to compound upwards. So I personally use direct bullion. Paul Withers, the owner of Direct Bullion, is a dear friend of mine. He's also a sponsor of the show. So you might want to use the link robmoore.directbullion.com. That's robmoore.directbullion.com. Okay, so my SN formula is stocks and shares covered, silver covered, so SS. Then the third thing that you can invest in is your network. Now, have you heard the saying, your network is your net worth? And people always ask me, hey, Rob, what would you do if you had to start again from scratch and you lost all your money? Well, one of the things I would do is I would open my phone, which I dropped on the floor, and I would open up WhatsApp, and I'd think, right, okay, who are all the millionaires and the billionaires that I've met over time? And how could I pitch them my new business and raise money from them? Or how could I partner with them? Do they know a good lawyer? Do they know someone who's good at AI, someone who's good at franchising? And, through successful people, because rich people know rich people. And every rich person needs a good broker, a good lawyer, a good tax specialist. They probably know people who are brilliant at sales, brilliant at marketing. So actually, it's through someone that you usually get connected to someone who can invest in your business, invest in you, or has the knowledge that you need to start and scale your business. So that's why they say your network is your net worth. And, other people say that you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So let me ask you this. If you think about the 5 people you spend the most time with, how many are millionaires? How many billionaires? How many are entrepreneurs? And how many are zeroers? So how do you invest in your network? Well, you go to events where there are wealthy people. So you could go to London business events. I run an event called the Money Maker Summit, where we have anywhere between 100 and 300 people that come to that event a few times a year. A lot of people use it for the knowledge, yes, but a lot of people use it for the networking, the contacts. I've had 2 or 3 billionaires keynote speak at the Money Maker Summit. So you've got to get yourself out and about. You've got to overcome your own, I'm broke, so why would they let me in the rooms? If you're the most broke person in the room, then you have the best seat in the room. If you're around a table and everyone's a billionaire and you're a zeroer, you've got the best seat around the table. And, you got to hustle your way in. So the good thing is you don't have to go to an event and go, right, I'm broke, I'm worth nothing, I'm 100 grand in debt, I just need to announce that. It's not an STD. I remember when I met my business partner, who I think was a millionaire or nearly one. And I was full of fear and doubt, and this was 20 years ago, and I was 50 grand in debt. So he was about 1,050,000 grand ahead of me. But I didn't have to say, hey, just nice to meet you, Mark. I'm Rob and I'm 50 grand in debt. You don't have to tell people these things. You can just, I don't like fake it till you make it. I really don't believe in that, but I do believe in be it till you see it. And I do believe projecting some confidence. And, so you get yourself out to the Moneymaker Summit. You get yourself out to some good, like business networking events in good big cities around the world, like, for example, London. And instead of just sitting in your pants on Zoom or going on Facebook groups and hiding away with no profile picture. And over time, you learn, okay, well, that person's connected to that person and that's the room I want to be in. And then what you do is you find out what that person wants or needs, because my business partner didn't like sales and marketing. He didn't want to be like seen. He's quite like private person. Whereas I didn't mind doing the public speaking. I didn't mind going out there and doing content and lives and videos. So I was able to do things that he couldn't do that enabled us to build a more than £250 million in sales business in that time since we've met each other. Now, this final N isn't really an N, it's knowledge, but an SSNK model sounded shit. An SSNN one sounds better. So stock, silver, network, knowledge with an N. The more you learn, the more you earn. Those who don't read have no advantage over those who can't read. But to know and not to do is not to know. Now, readers are leaders. Now, I would suggest to you, just make sure you learn something new every day. Make sure you read 10 or 15 or 20 pages of a book. If you want to pick one, start with Money, because that is the kind of like encyclopedia on all things money. Look, it's a nice chunky book as well. It's not like a pamphlet like a lot of the books are out there. Money, Know More, Make More, Give More by Rob Moore. Oh, it's Rob's book. Yeah. But, listen to a podcast while you're out on a walk on the subjects you want to get into, the stock market or money or investing. And try and read 10, 20 pages before you go to bed. The more you learn, the more you earn. Now, I always say, if you don't risk anything, you risk everything. But something else to think about is you cannot save your way to wealth because savings are less than inflation over time historically. So the only way you can improve your personal finances or become wealthy or even rich, the only way is to invest. Now, of course, there's loads of other ways to invest. Real estate. My business partner and I are doing 2 big deals, which will be worth more than 10 million when they're finished. Real estate is great, but of course, with little or no money, silver, stocks, knowledge network, that's the way to get that acceleration at the start. So thanks for tuning in. And remember, if you don't risk anything, you risk everything. I'll see you inside Money.School.
You've worked hard your whole life, built savings, maybe even bought property. But when it comes to stocks, you hold back. Because deep down, there's that fear. What if I lose it all? What if it's just another scam? Honestly, day trading probably isn't going to work for you. But investing is different. You're smart enough to know saving alone isn't enough to build the best future for your family. But investing in stocks can feel overwhelming. That's not your fault. School never taught us how to do this. I'm Ben Knight, and over the last decade, I've been investing successfully and consistently in the stock market. And I've taught hundreds of people my step-by-step strategy that takes less than 5 minutes a day. Now, I want to show you how to do this too. That's why I created my free online masterclass. And if you're serious about building wealth for you and your family, you need to be there. Seats fill up fast, so don't miss this. To secure your free space, go right now to www.thetradetribe.com and I'll see you there live.